What's going on, and welcome to the Stick Drift Podcast, a podcast for all things cars, racing games, motorsports, and more. I will officially be starting a Stick Drift official TikTok where I exclusively live stream AI NPC streams, except they'll all be crew themed and car themed. I'll be like what is that? Rose. See, I've already failed at Rose. I can't think of a single. Lightning.
Rose.
Is that an EV? Lightning. Is that an EV?
Yeah. F-150 Lightning. I don't know.
Exactly. Cowboy hat. Buy an F-150. I don't know.
Yeah.
What's going on, boys? Welcome back to the Stick Drift Podcast, a podcast for all things, like the intro says, car culture, racing games, and motorsports. This is going to be a bonus episode week. Bonus episode week! Woo! Bonus episode week! We have a guest episode on the Stick Drift Podcast. Prepare yourself for this Thursday episode. It will be a big feature. It was a 3-hour recording session with the man behind Black Panther's The Knobheads. So the group of gamers that feature in Black Panther's videos, titled The Knobheads, as their group, really carrying on the sort of take a British negative slang term and make it the name of your group, popularized by sidemen, I suppose. And the Knobheads then eventually became, which we hear the story of, a more niche journalism. A niche journalism. A niche...
One of them.
Yeah, a more niche racing game journalist organization with a website and whatnot. So I talked to Corey Johnston, T gotta be pronounced, for 3 hours, and that is going to be the bonus episode of this week of the Stick Drift Podcast. So prepare yourself for that. That was the plug to check out that. But a lot of stuff going on today in the world of car culture, gaming especially, and the like. A massive controversial decision from Need for Speed made. A very stinky decision, frankly.
As always.
I mean, it's not out the ordinary, I suppose. Then we have, or maybe is out the ordinary. I don't know.
It's EA. They like to just go out of their way to make as worse a decision as humanly possible.
It makes sense. It's not a wild and wacky thing for them to be doing something that wild and wacky. There was also Forza Horizon announcing and showing off their whole lineup for their Italian heritage update, or whatever it's called. It's Italian history, something Italian. Ferrari, and look, we have a Bath, look, we have a Bath, Italian update.
I mean, they ain't got many, yeah.
Essentially the Stellantis Italy update with a sprinkle of Lamborghini, I suppose. And we will talk about that. I think if either of those could go in the gaming segment, I think if we had to shaft one of those into the gaming segment, I suppose it's like, do we put the most anti-consumer decision ever made, or like, woo, Stellantis Italy? Which one gets relegated? I'll decide mid-podcast. Then also we will talk about a brand new one-off Bugatti Chiron designs, a bunch of EV news, which is the likes of some more Volkswagen-related news. Oh my god, I completely forgot! I will say in a minute. The one-off Bugatti Chiron, Volkswagen EV, as well as EV reselling, a mini EV, and Porsche EVs, and some woo yippee Lotus news.
There are some EVs there.
I just remembered. This is the Gran Turismo movie review episode.
Oh my! I completely forgot. Completely
We
forgot.
watched that this week. That was like
That was
3 days
Wednesday.
ago.
Yeah.
This is being recorded on a Sunday, and yeah, the episode.
Feels like it was last month.
The Gran Turismo movie. We watched it. Yes, we watched the Gran Turismo movie, so we will be reviewing that as well. God, I completely... It hit me. I forget what made me remember, but that is also what's going on this week.
If you hadn't mentioned it, I would have completely forgotten.
Yeah. This may end up being a slightly longer episode. See, this is where the bonus episodes need to come in, which we are creeping towards. Very much making our way towards monetization, where the Stick Drift podcast will be getting an editor as well as a full shuffle over. Josh is asking for a rebrand, but
Am I?
I think you were. You were like, a new logo or something.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of the logo, unfortunately.
But it's like it's a car drifting, and there's
It's hand drawn. It looks.
I suppose
It's like Mark 1 SidWaj logo.
Yeah, true. I'll figure something out because I don't know if I stick with the same like general vibe of it. Like I feel like
Just do like a 4K remaster in Blender or something.
If I made it like a real car, I feel like that would look a lot cringier than the hand-drawn car is the thing. But I guess we'll just have to see what ends up being done with that. It's a joystick, and because it's like stick drift, and you get stick drift in your joystick, right? So it's
Got stick drift.
I have stick drift in my joystick, even though my PlayStation's not even like 2 years old now. Which is a scam, is what that is. But speaking of anti-consumer decisions, get a load of that segue.
That is good.
This one brings up a couple of different points in the racing game space. We do talk about it a bit more in depth with Corey Johnson, of course, Knobheads being very Need for Speed focused and him having a 2 cents to put on the topic as well. But Need for Speed recently announced their Volume 4 update. This one is not as woe as 3 was, as far as I'm aware.
3? Whoa. Well, when you went on last, did you notice anything different from Volume 1?
The link ups. They had the link ups are the big whoa.
So cool.
Some little things have been adjusted. I truly don't know. Need for Speed Vol 4. We talk about it in that bonus episode, but the patch notes, here we go. It is the Porsche Taycan. It's a 75 years of Porsche themed update. Was this not a while ago? Or did they just stop?
This was a while. Everyone else did that a while ago.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because, like, I remember seeing the concept. The
Xboxes that were based on that.
There was an old Porsche that they made a brand new concept of with the 75 years of Porsche thing.
They made like a winter agent, but it's grey with 75 on it.
Yeah, and it had those weird headlights too. Like you couldn't tell if they were just like stickers. But the update is 75 years of Porsche. It's got 2 new cars, I believe. The Porsche Taycan and a different Porsche.
Like an old 911 Carrera or something.
Yeah, something along those lines. The Porsche Taycan does look pretty cool. I may even do a main channel video on that. Where there will also be a couple of adjustments, like a specific playlist will be boosted, or a couple other things. I watched a video.
There's new link-up spots.
New link-up spots, yes. Some Porsche-themed stuff. A couple of campaign bug fixes, stuff like that, multiplayer fixes. I don't think any feature, or was there something to do with cops in online? Because they really have...
Cops are always in online anyway, haven't they?
Yeah, they're already, like, always there, yeah.
Bruce didn't mention it, so I'd assume not.
Yeah, but along with all of that, they're also adding a couple of packs. So... not only will there be a EA Play thing, which I think is automatically put in your account.
I think they are. Yeah.
I went on and had the Nissan Fairlady Z, so and it was just the same asset that was already in the game. But I just went on and had that, so I think Corey mentioned as well. It's just put in your account. But the Lamborghini Countach, the new one, that was already in the game. Now that I think about it, no, okay, yeah. Yeah, I feel like it was, because I think I remember You get it for one of the missions.
You do. Yeah.
You get like a specific variant. It's not like the base one in store, but it's like one of the Countach's, a new one that you get for doing one of the missions. I only just put 2 and 2 together in my head there, to be fair. Only I've just remembered that, oh yeah, it's already there. A Lamborghini Countach wide body that is part of the EA Play benefits that you get for Need for Speed Unbound. Sure, pretty cool. Whatever. Then also a Lotus Exige. Some people were like, is it EV swapped? I don't know if it is or what even it is.
I doubt it.
It also comes with 10 SP, which is a boost in the pass, a boost in the motor or whatever, the speed pass, that's what it is. Corey was telling me as well, right? One of the bundles that came out last time or something, he was like, in his currency, it was a 25 New Zealand dollar bundle, right, for one car.
Yeah.
And he mentioned the game at the time was on discount for $35. For £10 more, you would get an entire game. And they're selling one car for 25.
Yeah, that's very EA.
Then also there is a pack with a G-Wagon, the very popular Mercedes Gwagon. Sure, it's like a history of hip-hop or something, I think. Yeah, something like that. Sure, they said it is, so
sure.
I'll take their word for it.
Whatever they say at this point.
Exactly. You know what? This I heard Biggie drove this exact G-Wagon, so they laser scanned his one. That's a lie. But the big point of controversy, Josh, there was big controversy.
There was. It was quite large.
Need for Speed has managed to make one of the most anti-consumer decisions possible by a racing game in current day. So, let me tell the story of Forza and the crew, and as far as it goes for car lists and whatnot, I suppose. Forza, when going from Horizon 4 to Horizon 5, they did leave behind a large amount of their car list. What they ended up doing with that, though, was instead making it that some of those were, seasonal exclusive rewards, and padding their seasonal exclusive roster with the cars from the previous game. Gran Turismo does a good. The new Gran Turismo had all the cars from the last Gran Turismo. The Crew Motorfest, but as far as I'm aware, Gran Turismo doesn't have paid cars unless they do.
I don't think they do.
But they might, and I might be wrong. If they do, boo. But if they don't...
I'm going to go all in. They don't. They don't have any.
Stick Drift, try not to have controversial opinion, or be wrong challenge. But the Crew Motorfest, however, is in a unique position where, like Need for Speed, it had paid-only vehicles. This was in the form of... They did have the Star Edition, but that eventually got brought back. They had 2 cars, the Pearl Edition RX-8 and the Carbon Edition GT4 Cayman Porsche. They
were exclusive Summit car reskin.
Yeah, so they were custom body kitted, but not unique body kitted. They were matching body kits with already in the game cars of those same cars, but a different color. Both of them were just red as well.
Yeah.
Weird. I criticized it when it came out. Bad, weird decision. It was just sort of like it was a how to learn the wrong lesson guide. Like, the Star had backlash, and they sort of, I want to say they said somewhere, what we did wrong was make it that it was a unique body kit that was paid only. So instead, this time, it's just a recolor that's paid only.
Yeah, yeah.
They were only £6 each, but they're the only cars in...
The game's £8.
I think it was like $6.99 is what I think it was.
The game's £8 on a normal day.
Yeah.
The Need for Speed moment.
So, what ended up happening, though, those are the only permanent paid exclusives in the Crew 2, because you may also know, you may be screaming at your monitor, stick drift, what about the Motor Pass? Well, the Motor Pass, being their Battle Pass system in the game, all those cars that were exclusive to that are now being brought back as regular buyable vehicles. Eventually, all of them will be, as they're also ditching the Motor Pass system. The Motor Pass is done, no more Motor Pass, no more exclusivity on those cars, all will be brought back. So as the transition goes to the Crew Motorfest, the Pearl and Carbon are now just buyable vehicles, and the same goes for the Motor Pass cars. Need for Speed, on the other hand, while the Crew Motorfest is making all previous paid exclusive vehicles now available for purchase, Need for Speed has decided that they are going to make 3 vehicles. Now, I don't know who these vehicles belong to because I didn't play most of these games that they came out in. A 350Z, a Nissan R34, and the Polestar one from Need for Speed, the last one. This was put in an Icons Nostalgia Pack. These 3 cars, 2 were buyable, 1 was a reward. These 3 cars are now most likely 16 Great British pounds.
That's outrageous.
For 3 cars that were previously buyable. So Need for Speed is making 3 cars from previous games that were completely in-game. Now, the whole development process here was Control-C, Control-V.
But they're in new game.
And then type nostalgia. A price number.
You'll pay for nostalgia.
Exactly, that's the thing. It's they're banking on people who will buy for nostalgia. It's a
£16 is actually criminal.
Yeah. Oh, it's atrocious. It is shocking. Now, it might be cheaper than that. I don't know. I think that was what it's likely to be. But that's gross.
It's over £5 a car.
Yeah. Like,
to be fair, that's what the Crew.
That is what the Cruise was, but the Cruise was at least a new car.
You say new, they just shifted colour.
In asterisks, yeah.
Thanks, but yeah.
But, although the Crew, again, a decision I definitely criticised, the Pearl and the Carbon, when going to Motorfest, the Crew made all those cars buyable.
Yeah.
And there's the parallel, is that now Need for Speed has decided that they want to make these 3 vehicles paid only, which is so...
Is it Need for Speed or is it EA marketing?
That's right, that's the thing. That's
because
what,
this screams EA marketing.
Yeah. It's rather gross. I mean, I could say...
The marketing person sat there like, how can we monetize this?
Yeah.
I've got an idea.
Exactly.
And then he got given the world's largest bonus, hadn't he?
Yeah. Because people will buy this still, I imagine.
Yeah.
Enough that they can justify it. It's scary, because it's definitely going to set a precedent if it goes well. Say there's not enough backlash to this. You know, I can't wait to pay £17 for the ASAP Rocky Merc in Need for Speed 2025, you know?
Yeah.
Like... It sets a worrying precedent if they are able to get away with such a ragingly anti-consumer decision. Like, such that's such a dumb decision. Yeah.
They can't be allowed to get away with that, because if they do it, if it works this time, they're going to do it again.
And you'll see just every single car from every old Need for Speed return as a nostalgia pack, right?
The cars are going to be drip feed, but it's not drip feed for free.
Yeah.
Drip feed for money.
Then in the next game, maybe you don't see a single one of these cars in the base game. They're only all buyable, you know?
Every car, the 3-star cars are free, and you got to pay for every other car in the game.
Yeah, that would be the EA way. It's what that would be. It being EA marketing definitely makes sense. I mean, I had the same, you could say, cope, but it's probably right, is the thing. Is that the Motor Pass definitely seemed like a Ubisoft saying, if you want a new game, you're gonna have to make some money. So it's like, these definitely seem higher up decisions, is what it seems like. But it doesn't negate how gross it is. And one thing that I find rather icky about it is that, just something a tad funny, is that Need for Speed's Twitter was like it was like an edgy, relatable Twitter. You can't do edgy, relatable Twitter and make the most corporate decisions imaginable.
Yeah.
And that's where the issue lies, right? Is that this Need for Speed,
I mean, it's all so disconnected, I imagine. Marketing doesn't speak to developers. Developers don't speak to social media. It's all to each their own, and to each their own isn't working very well.
Yeah. I saw a lot of people also complain that, like, it's iconic cars, but the Polestar's in there. I suppose people don't like the Polestar. But
I mean, I didn't know it was in Heat, so that's
I did. It's the cover car, I think. I think it is.
Really?
Yeah, it's the cover car of Heat. Need for Speed.
How much did Polestar pay for that one?
Heat, it was like the main guy's car, I believe. It's only from the back, so it was this thing right here. Yeah, it was the cover. It was the cover for Heat.
I didn't know that was a Polestar.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I also made a funny haha calling it a Volvo, and no one got it. And thus I am ordering a new audience as we speak. But shocking decision, notable backlash, of course. People who would regularly give Need for Speed the benefit of the doubt, even they're like,
it is a bad choice. Like, there's no good way to look at it. It's
yeah. I mean, even
low effort content aimed at making as much money as possible.
Exactly. I mean, that's the biggest thing, right? Is just how low effort it is. That it's just Control-C, Control-V. It is crazy. But the...
Surely a Porsche pack would have made more sense.
Yeah, it could have, yeah. Or, like, I don't know, add these... I feel like even if these cars were in the Speed Pass, it would still be gross, but, like...
Forget there's a Speed Pass.
I don't even know what it looks like, honestly. Like, I don't even... Honestly, I forgot to ask Corey Johnson. I was going to ask at one point. I was going to be like, what actually is the Speed Pass?
You've been on.
I've gone onto the game, like, 3 times now, and I don't even know what it is. But, hopefully... This is incredibly, don't do this, to Need for Speed, and it is completely retracted by the next Need for Speed game. Or enough people buy it where they don't care, so we'll just have to see.
I think the second one's more true, but yeah.
And it's worrying is what it is. It is impeccably
People will buy
worrying.
anything.
Yeah. But from that, speaking of people will buy anything, those darn EVs, people buying EVs, goddamn EV buyers.
Can't believe people would buy those.
EVs, do they still have as much of a negative perception? Because I feel like...
Not really, no one cares.
I suppose so, yeah. Because, I mean, I'm kind of like, it's cool that everyone's kind of having to refresh stuff. Those who are. It's funny to look at the ones who do it wrong. But it just sort of... I definitely noticed a bit of, like, EVs are bad, and EVs suck, and grrr. But big EV news, by big I just mean a lot of, nothing really revolutionary, I suppose. We have, in EV news, the John Cooper Works Countryman. Is it a Countryman? It looks like a Countryman.
Cooper.
Oh, that's a Cooper? What do you mean that's a Cooper?
Cooper's gone big. It's gone big.
Is it considered a Dire?
There is a Countryman. Yeah, there's a Countryman in there. It's like a rainbow livery on the minute.
Yeah,
if you find it. That's the Countryman. That's what that looks like now.
Oh,
yeah.
God.
It's an SUV. It's just...
Oh, God. That's...
Mini's lost all sense of the word at this point.
I mean, they don't sell in America, do they? So, like, why?
I think they do.
Do they?
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Okay.
They might as well call it the big at this point. I don't know.
Yeah. But then again, Mini aren't quite good for marketing because they didn't choose the impeccable choice of calling them Mini EVs. But instead, we have John Cooper Works, which you mentioned was like their sports version, I suppose.
Yeah. You get the normal, the S, and then the John Cooper Works.
What a bad sports name.
It's because it used to be like an AMG, like John Cooper Works was the tuner of minis, but they brought them and just didn't, like, it's usually abbreviated to JCW.
Okay, sure, but then it just sounds like a construction.
John Cooper Works on the seats and on the badge on the back.
It just sounds like a construction company as JCW.
I think that's why they stick with John Cooper Works.
Yeah, exactly. Well, even John Cooper, you can't have a sports thing and it just have the most mundane name. Like, imagine you go to, are you getting the base model of the new Porsche, or are you getting the new Porsche Andrew? Like, what? It's you can't.
Yeah.
Like, that's shocking. It's truly, it's like
Honda Civic Works would be a banger name.
Exactly right. But what a bad sports name. But Mini is getting sporty EVs now, sport EVs with the John Cooper Works. The Porsche Cayenne, which we have been talking about it's not the Cayenne either. It's the Macan.
The Macan is the one that's getting.
Yes, we saw and talked about this a hot minute ago, but the Macan is one of the two Porsche SUVs, which I think one is getting discontinued, the other one's being EV'd?
I think. Who even knows at them at the minute? It seems to change week to week.
But the Macan EV is one we talked about on the Stick Drift podcast when it was in early track testing. Now, with the Taken, so this feels definitely very publicity V, but did you see what publicity V?
No, I saw that. I did see how you did that.
You saw the joke, yes. But the Macan EV has been spotted. It's the front of a Porsche Taycan, but an SUV. That's basically all it is.
Yeah, I prefer the Macan's headlights.
Yeah, they're the same head. They just don't have the Peugeot line.
The Peugeot line doesn't work on the Taycan.
It's too timid of a line. Like it looks more like a
Peugeot one's sharp and aggressive.
Yeah.
That's like, it just looks like it's crying.
I was gonna say, yeah, it looks like it's either crying or like Kiss face makeup is what it looks like. It's which is a old band reference. Yeah,
that is a reference.
I'm one of you old petrol heads and not way younger than most in the industry. But the Macan is now becoming EV, and I feel like the Taken, it's probably gonna have this pseudo high-end pedigree, I imagine.
Porsche it does anyway.
I mean, yeah, I suppose so. Porsche already has.
It's like one step above a Range Rover Evoque for soccer mum car. So.
I think this is definitely one that's gonna. Especially because it's beating out any kind of hybrid or EV Urus, right? And I think the Lotus, which actually we will get onto. Never mind, I'm not gonna slate the Lotus EV SUV yet. But the Porsche Macan EV, I feel like it's gonna end up being a default for the average Urus buyer, especially if it's beating out a Urus hybrid.
They're going to sell plenty of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially because the Taken's done so well. It's a bit of a definite. You'll get a Marquez Brownlee review and it'll be like, it's a Porsche Taycan, but it's... I don't know why this is Marquez Brownlee. He does not sound like this. But it's EV. But other news in EVs is a bit more sad. Where... before that sad news, actually, the GTI, as was very obvious with the rebrand that we talked about last episode, the GTI is getting
a base model looks so bad.
Yeah,
like I forget how bad. Like the wheels just don't match, and it's so. Yeah. I don't like the look of the base model.
Yeah, but the GTI and the R of the Golf are both getting EV refreshes.
Hybrid.
Oh, is it hybrid? Oh,
yeah.
Boo! Imagine being behind the curve. Ew. But
I think that it's odd because it's not the Mark 9.
Yeah.
I think they're saving the Mark 9 for when they go fully EV. It's the Mark 8.5.
Oh, all right.
Just not going to be confusing in 10 years.
Yeah.
Completely gets rid of all the manuals, and they're all DSG hybrids now, including the GTI and the Golf R.
Yeah. Did you say that the Mark 9 or whatever, that's going to be the EV one?
I assume so. I don't see any other reason for doing a Mark 8.5 and then doing this sort of half EV.
Yeah. This
thing.
feels very iPhone 8 then, is what it feels like. This feels very... Because didn't they announce that and the X at the same time? It feels
something
very...
like that.
Yeah, it feels very middle of the road. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's in between an EV and the petrol, and this one's hybrid. See, because it's in between them. Whoa! Ooh. But
no one's buying a hybrid Mark 8.5 GTI. I can tell you that now.
No one wants to have to say, "Oh, which Mark Golf do you have?" The 8.5.
Like saying you've got the hybrid Golf Rs are going to depreciate like rocks.
You reckon? Maybe it's just...
there's within 2 years, I reckon you're gonna get 8.5 Golf Rs worth less than Mark 8 Golf Rs.
Yeah, I mean,
because no one's gonna want a high mile hybrid.
I imagine it's just a given option. It'll probably be soon that we get the Mark 9 EV, whatever. Then I imagine
soon. You underestimate how slow Volkswagen progress.
I suppose
it's gonna be at least 3 years minimum.
Yeah. But the more boohoo, where sad EV news. EV, depending on how you look at it, used EV sales, this from Autocar, used EV sales could collapse due to fleet dumping following weak consumer confidence, heavy depreciation, and oversupply.
I've had a read through a little of the article.
Yeah.
Basically, 80%, because you know the EV sales go up. It's like up 30% on the year before, which was up 40% on the year before that.
Yeah.
80% of all EV sales in the country are fleet.
What does that mean?
Companies for like work vehicles and stuff.
Oh.
Individuals aren't buying EVs.
Yeah.
It's just kind of very, very, very likely to just kill the used market.
I'm curious why that is, though, that individuals aren't buying.
Government incentives. Companies get government incentives to buy EVs. Individuals
I suppose
don't.
so, and the individuals ones ran out because there was for a little bit individual ones, right? And then
it was $5,000 off up until 2020.
Yeah, I remember it was around then that they sort of nuked doing that. Yeah, and now no one wants an EV, I suppose, especially because it's not the it's just definitely not the standard yet. But what it does mean is that there's a likelihood that we get a lot of cheap EVs at resale. So, sure.
I mean, it could have the opposite effect. It could kill demand for EVs completely, meaning no innovation.
I suppose, yeah. People, as in the companies themselves start going, well, no one cares about them.
Well, say you own a company where all of your employees have to have work cars because they drive long distance. So you buy them all EVs. And then after 5 or 6 years, you have to sell them off because they've all got like 2 million miles on them. Yeah. And they are worthless. You're not going to buy EVs for the next lot of cars, are you? You're going to buy hybrids.
Again, like, you say it could kill innovation, right? But... what were the options for an average Joe to buy an EV other than just it looks the exact same but it has an EV in it, or something completely out their price range, right? Like most of the lower ones, the average people will buy them cars, especially given the economy nowadays, right? A lot of the like average people will buy them cars. They've not done anything really innovative. They have just swapped them. Just put an EV engine into them. So nothing really innovative at all. In fact, I would argue, like the Mark E, I've been seeing so many Mark E's, that's one of the only ones that, it's unfortunate because the thing still is bad, but that was a new thing.
500Es are a plague at the minute.
Yeah, I've seen so many.
Millions
There's
of them.
so many. But again, they refreshed. They made it look new. It looks like a new car. The Mark E.
It has to be. People will only buy them privately if either they are cheap or they have good range.
Yeah.
You're not gonna spend a load of money on a poor range. Who makes bad EVs?
Toyota.
Toyota. Yeah, you're not gonna spend 40 grand on a 97 mile BZ4X something.
Yeah. It's a weird one for the whole thing because I genuinely think one innovation wise, the ones who are doing it seem to be succeeding a bit more. I do look out for green plates, and I definitely see a lot less green plates.
I see a lot of EVs not on green plates, which I find. Because it's a choice they actively have to have made, because they would have come with green plates.
I don't see that where I am. I don't see any...
They blend in quite well. It's usually like the 2020 and before EVs that they just... Where they've had enough time for the plates to sort of wear and they've needed new ones.
And I guess they just didn't get a green one,
They just don't know. I assume they just don't know that they need a green one and just stick a normal yellow one on it, and then it's... Like in this image, the Peugeot,
the Peugeot
has a non-green on it. Yeah, I don't...
But...
Such an odd thing.
Yeah. But because that market's collapsing, it kind of shows that like no one really wants to except
in sort of... Because during pandemic, people were getting rid of them cheap to companies anyway.
Yeah.
I give it 3 or 4 more years to where they are just like, you're going to get like sort of 70,000 mile EVs just flood the used market.
Yeah. And I imagine we'll see that, especially with company cars turnover, right? Like companies don't exactly keep cars forever. And once that turnover happens, no one's really going to want to buy them unless they're going to be dirt cheap.
I mean, all it takes is for a rumour to start like this, that their resale value is going to be lower.
Yeah.
Because that's something people take into account when spending £40,000 on a car.
Yeah.
Is resale value.
If
they know the EV one is going to cost more initially and be worth less at the end of it, why would they get one in the first place?
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a fair way to look at it.
It's got worse range than the hybrid.
Yeah.
It's going to be worth... It's cheaper. The hybrid is worth more resale, cheaper to buy outright, and has more range.
Yeah.
Why would you not buy the hybrid versions like the Peugeot and stuff like that, or the Nissan?
I didn't even remember to process it like that. Just this article alone will... What is it? What is it when you placeboing it into existence, essentially. Manifesting it. I mean, you saw it with, like, one oil pump in middle of nowhere, Scotland or something, ran out of oil, and then everyone in the UK started rushing for oil or something. Like, outrage culture. Yeah, it definitely it's going to be a rough one. But from that, we can jump over to a two-hitter bit of news. A three-hitter bit of news that we can sort of talk about. It'll be a quick segment where we discuss these 3 bits of news. It is going to be, and begin with, the smallest one of the bunch, and that is going to be the Alpine.
New Alpine.
A110.
Just sell it with his livery on it. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's not really tried to hide any curves or anything. They've just put that livery on for fun. Like that livery doesn't hide anything. It's just like sure,
it's just there because it looks nice.
Yeah, we're just like, oh yeah, sure, let's put this livery on it, I guess. But the Alpine A110 is going to be getting a little sporty version. The Alpine A110 was already a sporty car, but
it's like an RS.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's the same. It's the same as the R, but it's got different wheels, a more efficient spoiler apparently.
Yeah.
More grille with like on the bonnet, like the Porsche has the in front of the windscreen. You got the 2 vents. It's got a bigger side skirt, bigger front lip, and bigger brakes. Apparently, it's just an RS.
I can't imagine a crazy amount of people are going to buy this, though, surely. Because surely...
A110s are rare as it is. I've never seen an A110R, and I can't imagine there's people lining up at the door to buy a more expensive R version.
Exactly, yeah. I don't think I've ever seen an Alpine A110, so it's definitely an interesting one where this goes. But, speaking of interesting where it goes, is... a company where it's not interesting at all where it goes because it's the most predictable thing imaginable. Bugatti has made another one-off Chiron. It's another super sport. It's another one-off. What was their last one? It was a Chiron, but it had a spoiler.
It had a different spoiler.
Yeah, it had like a... What are they called? Like, instead of just like a Forza Aero, it had like... how do I even describe it? I forget what it was called. It was the Bugatti... something or rather. Spoiler. It had its own name as well. Chiron... whatever. I found it. The one-off... profiling.
Oh, it's just profile, but spelled French.
Is it? Oh, there you go.
Oh, so that's how I'd pronounce it.
That's what it looks like, and it's got 2 E's for the fun of it. But it has...
Whoa, someone stolen a Z4 spoiler and stuck it on the back.
Exactly, yeah. It's just a very generic-looking spoiler, and this time around, it's a Bugatti Chiron Golden Era Celebration... the French, this is from Autocar again. We do love the boys over at Autocar. They celebrate the French illustrious heritage with stunning mural of famous creations. I want to say, I kind of like it. I kind of really like it.
It's just got a livery on it.
No,
really.
it is just a livery. It is. I like the livery. It's a cool.
Buy a normal one for half the price and stick a livery on it. Like at that point.
See, but that one will depreciate instead of appreciate. Is the issue? This one will be like $1 billion more than the base model, whereas putting a livery on a base model is going to be about $1 billion less.
You can't insure something like this because if in the event it gets into a crash,
they'll ask you why you were driving it.
They write it off based on the ability to find parts.
Yeah.
You're never going to get another door for that. I can tell you
yeah.
That. A Bugatti are making one, so...
But honestly, I quite like it. It's a really cool car. I'm just saying, it's a pretty...
It's got a livery on it.
It's a cool livery, alright? And it's got custom rims.
No.
You take that back. You take that back right now. It's got custom rims. The front are black. The back is it's a Summit Edition, and it's a good Summit Edition at that.
It's a poor Summit Edition. It's got a livery and wheels.
Okay, sure. Okay, if it was actually a Summit Edition, yes, this would be poor. But it's such a good looking car. All right. I love the brass. I was gonna say gold, but it's not gold. I think it's brass. Is what it is.
More of a bronze.
Yeah, which looks like old-timey sketchwork color, and the black at the front is like the ink, and it's driving through it at the front, and then on the door is pictures of the concept famous Bugattis. All right. I will say...
If Vauxhall did this, they'd be laughed out the building.
Okay, yeah, because they're Vauxhall. This is Bugatti.
Right. I'm finding the signal and loads of Vauxhall stuck on the door.
Yeah. It's just got like an Astra. It's like sketch worked. But it's such a cool looking car.
It's interesting, I guess.
Look, that's a 110, and that's
If this sells for more than 300k more than the base, it's not worth it.
I would buy this. And
but you're gonna choose not to because.
But I'm gonna personally boycott it actually because you don't like it. Because I'm so brave. I'm so brave. I shall be boycotting this Bugatti. They will reconsider their whole decisions when they lose that one sale.
Why is the window so small?
A Bugatti, I imagine. But it's
5 nautical miles wide, and you got a window like. Couldn't even climb out of there if you wanted to.
It's a really cool car, though. I think it's really cool compared to the
I think the Veyron's better. Veyron.
The Veyron, yeah, all right. 2010 called, but
I think they made the Veyron until 2012, actually.
Well, same thing. The Veyron was my first like dream car. I remember that. It was either the Bumblebee
They make like
Camaro or the
8 billion
Veyron.
Veyrons as well.
Yeah. It was my first, like, it was my childhood. I would have been like year 5 when I was like, I like the Bugatti Veyron. It's the fastest car in the world.
One-off thing. They made an all-chrome Veyron.
But yeah,
chrome with blue flames. See, that's why it's better.
See,
Chrome with red. See,
look,
Chrome and crew. They're all.
This
all
one
bangers.
it just does something to me. This car it does something to me. It looks really good.
Or you could get a chrome Veyron with blue flames on it. I mean, who's winning?
You've sold me. This is the worst Chiron ever made. The Veyron bodies, but
Exactly.
some more unanimously liked news. A true everyone like that. Lotus has seen
Lotus.
17,000. You're gonna have to finish this. I don't remember the units.
Orders
for cars.
Units. What? Lotus received 17,000 tons of nuclear mass. I don't know what else they can
maybe. They received 17,000 hearty thumbs up, right? But
17,000 retweets on Twitter.
Exactly. And it was we're shutting down. But no, Lotus has received just this year so far 17,000 orders compared to last year's. What was it?
530 sales or something like that.
Which is shocking.
That's gonna make a last year Evora a very, very, very rare car.
Probably, yeah. But I think it definitely, not to say we are always right on the Stick Drift podcast, but because we're always right on the Stick Drift podcast, as we were saying, it definitely seemed like Lotus was, because we talked about that headline.
It proves it's all marketing though. Like,
the
absolutely. Emira is an Evora. It is literally an Evora with a reskin. But they never marketed the Evora.
Yeah.
Because, like, no one's driving the Evora. Like, no one drove like, this is a terrible car.
Yeah.
No one drove it in the first place.
This one
because they're like, whoa, totally
end.
new sports car, ultra high end.
Yeah.
People test drove like, whoa, good car, and now everyone's trying to buy one.
Which,
even though it's the same car as the last one, but
but
proof that good marketing makes a brand.
Exactly, right? Exactly. You could sell anything if it was marketed well. But Lotus. It proves what we were mentioning when we first saw this headline, and I think we came into it in a not this headline, but the 500 one. Jumped into it negative, but then halfway through it kind of was like, what if they're just in a transitional period, right? Like,
and they 100% were. They discontinued the Evora, and you could only buy a first year edition. What are they called? Emira. That's the one.
Yeah.
Emira. Their naming scheme is horrendous.
And then there's the Elytra or whatever. But
all of them begin with E, apart from one of them, and I never know which one it is because I forget it because it's not an E. But then all the ones that begin with E, I get mixed up because they all begin with E.
But and you know what? Good on Lotus. Woo Lotus.
The more common they are, the more like they have to depreciate. So people keep on buying them.
You could eventually get a Lotus.
Everyone buy all of them. They just become the new Elise. Buy them all.
Yeah. But that is impressive numbers from Lotus. And
what do you think the ratio between Elytra and Emira is?
I would imagine a lot more on the SUV. But then again,
how long? But the what's it called? The SUV's only been available for order for like a month.
I was gonna say, now that I think about it, I haven't seen much hype about that SUV either.
They're not advertising the SUV at all.
Yeah.
No one's reviewing it.
Yeah, I've only really seen hype. I imagine. I see, but it's. Pardon me. It's too high end of a car I feel for them to be this many orders. Right? Is that 17,000 people this current point with the expendable income to get a Lotus Emira, right? Like that's where
I think they've just announced the base model Emira.
Yeah,
because I think the V6 manual, the one that they were selling last year, and it's like £80,000 starting.
Yeah,
the i4 F1 gearbox one is like 63,000. Which isn't much more than
that's not crazy expensive.
Normal sports car.
Yeah, that's not too crazy expensive. Then I definitely think way more of the non-SUV. The SUV because there's been no marketing. Which is weird to say.
I haven't seen one. I've seen a fair few mirrors around.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any of the SUVs yet.
Oh yeah, true. Yeah. I've seen a bunch of Emiras. No SUVs, but I suppose it's the SUV. It's a fair bit newer still, right? I imagine. We'll probably see in theater trailers for the.
I mean, you say it's newer. They only sold 86 first edition Evoras. Emiras in the UK.
Yeah.
So all of the Emiras you've seen are of 86.
I suppose, yeah.
And considering how many we've seen and not a single SUV yet, which means there's probably less than, I'd say less than 30 of them flown about.
Yeah. I imagine they'll catch on and do a big promoing and whatnot, given a couple of big things that happen. Oh, fun fact.
Or everyone's found like 3 million bought an Avira, however it's called.
Yeah, the Avira or whatever.
Avira, that's the one.
Yeah, but I imagine... just fun fact, the Fiesta has again made most sold car in the UK this month or something.
It always does, because people actually want them.
Yeah, but obviously there was that 1 month where the Model Y was the most sold, and then also the Mark E has been so popular. I imagine Lotus will catch on at some point and have something in the chamber for the EV SUV. Something has to happen for it, because they can't just leave it dormant, no marketing, no buy. So something will come around on it.
They've not sold a single Elytra yet.
Oh, okay, so I imagine it's just not being sold yet, then.
They've taken I'd assume they've taken orders for them, but they've not. Pre-ordering a car that expensive is wild. Because The Guardian 4 days ago said Lotus have produced 2,200 cars in the first half of 2023.
Yeah.
That's another problem.
Oh.
When they're used to producing no more than 3,000 cars a year.
17,000 orders.
Suddenly 17,000 people want one.
Yeah.
What do they do? Do they spend 4 years building new factories just for the hype to die down after and then them lose a ton of money? I reckon they're going to try and stay a little bit exclusive. They're going to.
Yeah, Lotus is a smaller company than I first imagined. Then I suppose. Given everything.
They never really sell anything.
Yeah.
Like after the Elise, they kind of actually just fell off a cliff. Like the Evora was meant to be the Elise successor, and it was a colossal failure.
Yeah. They are. They're only a $450 million value company. That's not even a billy. That's not even a half of a billy. Which is truly atrocious. I personally, my left toe is worth $1 billion, so that's embarrassing from Lotus. But speaking of $1 billion, unless there's more to say on Lotus.
Nope.
Speaking of $1 billion, a movie to make $1 billion at the box office. This is a real number and will happen. And actually, I wanna research now, because is it out yet? Did we watch like a early screening or something? Or...
No, it's not out in America, I think.
Oh, so it won't have like a
I've
box
seen
office yet.
Super GT. Well, it's not out everywhere. I don't know. It's out in the UK.
Yeah. So we watched the Gran Turismo film.
The first day it's in the cinemas, it was barren.
yeah. People were in our seat, which was shocking behaviour.
They booked regular seats, because someone was in the back right as well. They book regular seats and then go sit in the premium ones. That's kind of smart.
Thankfully, the £12 that was the premium seats, I splurged. But the Gran Turismo...
£2 extra.
I know, whoa! The Gran Turismo movie is a movie that came out technically the other day or whatever. I suppose we watched it. It's a movie that follows the story of Jan...
I forget his last name.
Mardenborough. Jan Mardenborough. I think. Yeah, look.
Sounds made up, but it might be.
There's no reason for me to be disrespecting this man this much. Jan Mardenborough. I was right. Yeah, there you go. Jan Mardenborough a real-world winner of a Gran Turismo competition that was held in very long ago. One hyped-up marketing man went up to Nissan and was like, host a big challenge where gamers to racers, and the best Gran Turismo players were brought together, tested, and then the best of the best were put into a car, and one of those was Jan Mardenborough, who then went on to race at the Nuremberg, the Le Mans, the other known tracks, I suppose.
He did other things.
He did other things. That
he did
were
Red Bull
in
and
the movie.
Hungaroring, as far as I'm aware.
Oh, the Red Bull Ring. Yeah, he did do the Red Bull Ring. And that's the one in, like, Dubai or something? Or Abu Dhabi?
Dubai Auto or something like that.
Yeah. He did that, and
he raced in a series. I don't remember what series it was. I'm sure it's fine.
It was some kind of. I think it was made up. Maybe. You could probably look up his like actual Wikipedia and like be like.
Yeah, because he got a fourth, didn't he? When did he get a fourth?
Because there's GT4 European Cup in 2011.
Oh, he did do GT4. See, I did say on the way back that I'd assume they would have put him in like a lower specs. They did.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It seems like it was just for the movie that they put the big high-end cars, is what it was, which we definitely saw a lot of. Which we'll talk about, I suppose, but just to carry on with the story, it follows him in his trials and tribulations at becoming a socially awkward racing man, picked up by Nissan, Team Nissan, racing for Team Nissan, and following his way through to becoming third at Le Mans, which, pretty goddamn cool. One of his bigger achievements, which, yeah, I'd say very, very sick. Now, looking at it now, not like a terrible racer, all in all. Like, he's not a Lewis Hamilton, right? But, like, you know, it's like there's our 64th here. But, you know, he's got a fair few
64, the where? Oh, United Sports Car Championship prototype. Okay.
But, you know, he's got a lot of 5th, 9th, 3rd, 2nd. If you're not
I mean, most of these championships don't have many teams in them, I don't think, but...
Oh, well, alright. In 2023, he did the Super Taikyu...
What did he, what's he done recently?
STX, which he came third in, yeah. In Helmed Motorsport, at the Helmed Motorsport team with probably Nissans? I don't know. And he raced in Formula... Oh, he was a simulator driver.
Yeah, they were racing the GTR Nismo.
He was in that Nismo or something.
He was in a newer Nismo on the film, but yeah.
Yeah. But there was definitely a lot of... not
Hollywood.
accurate cars, Hollywood as well. Essentially, the story continues with his mentor, as well as the marketing man, his girlfriend, I think.
Oh, yeah, they never really confirm it. She just kind of shows up.
Now that I think about it, she just kind of was there, I suppose.
It's like he's stalking her Instagram page, and then he invites her out, and she's like, yeah.
And it's like, well, they are together now. We decided. I say we decided. I imagine that's what happened, but but he signed Trials and Tribulations, and it ends on Le Mans, I believe. I think Le Mans.
Yeah.
We watched it, and that was the plot of the film.
They didn't fit. They had a new interesting Le Mans layout. I didn't mention it on the day, but they did have an interesting layout. But,
they didn't run to their cars. Are they supposed to, or did they ditch that?
No, they haven't done that in a very, very, very long time.
Well, they should bring it back. All right, they should have to. They should have to run from their own house, right?
Running people over is a great pastime, I guess.
You live further away, cope. You have to run from your house to your car. That's what it should be.
Poor guy who's in a wheelchair or something just. The trail couldn't compare.
Exactly. But, wait, give me a minute. I look over and I'm reading. The one where he came 64th, he was in Muscle Milk Picket Racing, was his car, was his team.
With a name like that, it's deserved.
Muscle Milk Picket Racing do seem like some bangers. I don't know what they are, but, formerly known as Muscle Milk Motorsports and Muscle Milk Team Saito Sports, pardon? Greg Pickett since 2009. Yeah, it just seems like a racing team called Muscle Milk. That caught my eye, and I needed to bring that up.
It's an interesting name.
But what is your review of the Gran Turismo film? We could
Not very accurate, but for a fun, if you're expecting it to be a goofy film that shills Gran Turismo every nanosecond it can, and it's a big Nissan ad as well.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
Honestly,
Like, I feel like 7 is too high. 6.8.
See, I want to say the same. I want to say, if you take into account what something's trying to be, right? Like, sometimes a movie can be trying to be a lot, and that makes it, like, something like... Movies can be trying to be a lot, thus, relatively speaking, they're a lot lower. I feel like the Gran Turismo movie isn't trying to be a lot, thus I'd happily give it a 7. But it's not like this is a 7 movie. It's just like, it's not like a 3 movie, is more what that is. So we can go in order, more breaking it down. It begins with Jan Mardenborough following his way through...
Spoilers, by the way.
Spoilers, of course. Yes, now there will be spoilers for the Gran Turismo movie. That was a good shout. But now, actual spoilers for Gran Turismo. It begins with Jan Mardenborough. I feel like the cringe begins early and teeters off.
The cringe is immense.
It dies down. It dies down, but
it's... the most realistic driving game in the world ever developed.
Yeah. So it begins with a bit of Jan, but mostly a big old marketing man, played by Orlando Bloom, a known Hollywood actor. Orlando Bloom makes his way over to Nissan. He's just someone who works on... he does calls for, like... We're claiming your car back. You haven't paid for it, and he's like, people just say to me, "Yeah, if I can take the car, it's a Nissan. I don't want it." And he says to Big Nissan, he's like, "Hey, people don't like your cars. Actually, I decided. You guys need to do something to hype people up." and then he just starts working for Gran Turismo. He's like, this is the greatest race simulator ever made. This is Gran Turismo. It's not just a game. It's in the game. And this is where gamers are really playing with Nissans. And the people who are gonna buy real Nissans are people who've already spent the value of a Nissan on their racing rig. So this is untapped potential.
Jan doesn't own a Nissan. He's actually scammed us.
Yeah. But what he ends up doing and saying and telling Nissan is to collect the best racers in the whole of the world of Gran Turismo. Bring them together in a, what I think was reality TV style? I want to say, a reality TV style Gran Turismo Academy, where it puts together the best of the best and puts them through some trials, really rigorous, and the winner ends up racing for Team Nissan. And then we meet Jan Mardenborough, who, I can't pronounce the guy's name, but his dad is, like, big actor who's been in a bunch of big things. And he follows his way through British... He's in Wales or something. It was in Cardiff, I think, and I remember we both laughed when Cardiff came up. But Josh's Wi-Fi has gone out. I suppose I could wait till he gets back.
It didn't like me pressing buttons.
What happened?
I pressed on Chrome and my PC just turned off. So.
Oh, I thought your Wi-Fi went out. The sheer mention of Cardiff must have broken everything. I was just mentioning how we laughed when the Cardiff title card came up, which was unfortunate.
It was quite funny.
But it showed Jan Mardenborough doing a big racing, like I said, cringe starting early. He was like, Name a racer. I could beat any racer at the gaming cafe.
There's no way he ever stepped foot inside a gaming cafe. There's no way in Cardiff there is a gaming cafe. I refuse to believe it.
Specifically one for racing, Gran Turismo. He goes to there and he's doing a big racing and he's really good at it, and he's shuffling through brakes on his car. He's putting brakes on his car.
On his car.
Back to this movie being a Gran Turismo show. It starts with a minute where it's just like, this is the creator of Gran Turismo, and he once had a dream, and that dream was to make Gran Turismo, and then he made Gran Turismo. And then the movie starts.
Yeah.
But it then follows on to Jan Mardenborough finding out that no, actually, it's a bit of a big contention. His dad used to play for, who was it? Was it someone Spurs? No, it wasn't. Was it a Cardiff team? It might have been a Cardiff team.
I think it was Cardiff team. It had a blue Swift as its image.
Mardenborough. I'm sure it's on his Wikipedia, but this is such a thing to look up. Who did Jan Mardenborough? Jan Mardenborough's dad play for?
Who did? Yeah.
Who did? Who did? History vs Hollywood. Someone has actually done a comparison for all of those people. So, professional soccer player Steve Mardenborough, born in Birmingham, and former professional football player. This is a very helpful article. I might just read this. I guess we'll never know because it doesn't say. But Jan Mardenborough his father Steve Mardenborough played for a big old thing. Also, Orlando Bloom's marketing man was Darren Cox, born in 1974, Newmarket, Suffolk, England, Nissan Europe executive who conceived GT Academy. He is renamed Danny Moore. Oh, weird to rename him, I suppose.
Yeah.
Sure. It seems that, everyone's renamed, I suppose, except Jan. Even the mentor, which we'll get onto. So, Jan, we follow him, and he's like, whoa, Dad, I won't do a football. Your brother does a football, though, but I don't want to do a football. I wanna be a race car, Dad. And that's a big
Not
tension.
a driver. He just wants to be a race car.
He wants to be a race car. He then also does some shenanigans where we meet, unfortunately, very generic love interest. It really sucks how they just don't flesh her out in the slightest.
Yeah.
Yeah. Give me a
She's
second.
just kind of there, yes.
Yeah. So,
yeah, remember.
I just ran through the article a little. This is an article from History vs Hollywood, a very useful article that actually shows the real life and the whatnot of the people in the movie and the story in the movie, and we have learned some interesting things that they neglected to mention. I'm trying to remember where we left off. So, he meets really unfortunately generically written female love interest.
It's just kind of she's there and she likes him and he likes her back, and that's just kind of it. It's just kind of it's never explicitly said. It's just I like you. Because
they already,
and then she shows up in Japan or wherever it is.
Unless she was based on a real world person, which I would hope and assume she is. Because they already had the parents to be upset at the spoiler thing that happens in this movie. So they already had the parents to be like, oh no, I hope you're okay. And I say spoiler, it happened in real life.
I mean, even then, when it happened, she doesn't really seem that upset.
No, but she was on FaceTime with him.
She was just on FaceTime laying in bed, just having a chat.
It was definitely a weird one, the female love interest. Because, she was just there. But I assume she was there in real life, and good on Yan for being like, hey, put my girlfriend in this, actually, I decided. And we see a scene where him and his brother sneak out to go to this, like, just abandoned whatever.
A fire pit on the docks, which...
Yeah.
Yeah, the usual.
The hoodlums, those damn hoodlums, there's a very funny line there, where it's the line that people have been joking about, where it's like, actually, it's not a video game, it's a racing simulator.
That was a moment. Yeah.
He says that to a woman as well, which made it so much better, because it's that meme of, like, shouting in a woman's ear at a nightclub. It's him being like, well, actually, it's not actually just a video game. It's actually a racing simulator.
Yeah, some odd thing to mention. The pitch black down the docks, just middle of the night. Yeah,
like they're separated from everyone, and he's leaning really close up, and he's like, well, it's actually a racing. It's just they race home. In the point where we burst out laughing. Who said this isn't a comedy? The moment we burst out laughing in this movie was when they're racing home in a Volkswagen, their dad's Volkswagen. It was, you would have to know what it is. It was like not a hatchback.
I'm trying to think. I thought it was a Mazda.
Did you? It was a Mark 1 Golf, but the not hatchback one, basically. Like
They made those?
Yeah, I think so. Or like Mark 2 or something. But they race home in that, and they get stopped by the police, but Yan's like, I can't... Oh, I neglected to mention, like the Gran Turismo movie, Taste Your Own Medicine movie. Now I'm not adding information. Yan got not randomly selected, he set a really fast time, so he got selected for the Gran Turismo... for a trial, to have to do a race against a bunch of people.
That's the one. Yeah,
to then get maybe accepted. And what happens is he goes and does the big stopped by police, and is like, I can't miss my race, and runs from the police. And as he's running and as he's driving, to show he's such a racer, they show up a like racing game POV shot of the car and add the Gran Turismo art.
Yeah, that is,
with the Gran Turismo race line. Which they do that one a lot. They do the race line gimmick a fair bit. They very much rule of three the race line gimmick. But it's like, whoa, he's a big driving, and he outruns the police. I wonder what the statute of limitations is on that. But he outruns the police, gets back home, gets in trouble. His dad's like, again, a lot of this is like, did it happen? It's a lot of it seems to have a plot, right? His dad's like, I've not just put you here for punishment. I've put you here so you can see, look, if you just play video games all the time, this is where you're gonna end up. And that same hour, he goes and plays the race. And what ends up happening is he starts like P16 or something. Now, this is a real, alright, I'm sure that's how it happened. He starts he makes it...
They show zero qualifying in the entire film for none of the races, by the way. Yeah. That annoyed me. Because it's just like, he starts just at random positions. Just like, sure, yeah.
I imagine it would have affected the terrible pacing already. But he makes it within a split second. He's accelerating as the car's going off a rolling start. And then he overtakes one, and then he overtakes another, and then another, and then another.
He just breezes past them all like they're standing still.
And then he does this strategy that he was telling his dad about at the beginning of the film, where he's like, they take the racing line, so I go wider and come out better and overtake them.
Should have just rammed him off the track. That would have been a true gaming moment.
If it was a Forza Horizon, if it was a Forza Motorsport movie, that's what it would have been.
Lags and clips the back of the car, no Gran Turismo gameplay.
Desync and like sticks to a car like it's the Crew 2. And last minute on the last turn, he happens...
Well, they go side by side. It's like that or something. Like,
Yep, he happens to last minute overtake the last guy and wins his spot in Gran Turismo Academy, where he then goes there. His dad's like, but this is dangerous. And he's like, but you wanted me to not be a gamer. Now I'm not a gamer, and now you're scared. This isn't foreshadowing. This is not foreshadowing at all, Dad. Darn you, Dad, and your foreshadowing. He then goes to Gran Turismo Academy, and at that point, some more stuff I neglected to mention. Mr. Marketing Man, who we've learnt is Darren Cox in the real world, the executive at Nissan, which... Did he become an executive? Because that's not the story that he was in the movie, but sure, he was renamed. He had to find someone to train these delinquent gamers, these gamers.
Youth.
Yeah, these bloody sit in their mum's basement gamers, darn you. And he goes to Jack Slater, renamed in the Mooney in the movie from Johnny Herbert, someone who had previously raced in a Mazda 787V. I mean, in the good way, a beauty of a car. And he was Jan's mentor, but I don't know if he was actually the, coach in the real world. But, because it just said he was Jan's mentor, of sorts. But he, winning the Formula Ford Festival at Brands Hatch in 1985. Herbert, British Formula 3 title, and together they won a British Formula 3 title, is a British former racing driver, former television announcer for Sky Sports F1. He raced in Formula 1 from 1989 to 2000 for 7 different teams. Oh, someone got passed around. Winning 3 races and placing 4th. Does this say his, reason to stop? Because they made a point of that, but I don't know if it would.
Was it who?
Johnny Herbert was the man.
I mean, he is just... I know him as an F1 commentator.
Well, there you go. Yeah, so it seems like, he was the... In 2013 and 2014, Herbert mentored 6 contestants in a primetime ITV4 reality series with the aim of making players of Gran Turismo video games to buy a 24-hour race as real drivers. Other countries in Europe, etc., etc. Looking at it, he's got a fair few firsts in his racing career. It's extensive, but I see first.
I mean, he did have a crash, but he did race afterwards.
Oh, okay. So...
He almost had to get something amputated.
It wasn't his crash, though, that made him quit, wasn't it? Spoilers, I suppose. It was... Was it that someone behind him twitched? A Ford twitched behind him, lost... Or, was overtaking him, lost traction, and whoop, 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 crashed, and, man, I think lost his life, or was just severely injured.
I think that's just made up.
It might have been, yeah, probably.
It looks like he just moved from... He just went down and down. He went from Formula 1 to Le Mans to British Touring Car.
Sure. But, there you go. That was the mentor picked, played by David Harbour. Which I want to say, now that we've mentioned most of the big actors in this, acting in this movie is pretty good. Sometimes the lines they were given were bad. But the actual actors, I want to say the acting was actually pretty, it was pretty alright. It was pretty good. David Harbour did a pretty good job.
There was nothing noticeably bad about it.
Orlando Bloom seemed like way too obsessed, hyper about his idea. Oh my god, Nissan has funded my idea. Kind of marketing man.
Yeah.
David Harbour felt like at the beginning it was in the very beginning cringe. He was like, "You're really gonna put a bunch of Cheeto eating, sitting in their mom's basement gamers in a high performance race car? That's gonna tear them apart." He has a big old thing That's a bit cringe, but then he moves into it, right? In the
Well, they have
movie
to
as
do
well.
characters about me. Yes, you're like, oh, you're bad at the IRL game,
Yeah.
IRL. And then he ends up being like, you're kind of good, kid. You're kind of
Yeah,
good.
you actually that was actually pretty good, I think. Actually, maybe the real Gran Turismo was the friends you made along the way.
They do the same with the mechanics of this. He just gets verbally abused like his first race by one of the mechanics.
Yeah. And then even he comes around, he's like, I'd race in your pit any I don't know why he's American all of a sudden. He's like, I'd race in your pit any day, mate. From like, you didn't do that in the video game, did ya? Fucking loser.
He just opened his head to go,
yeah, he just, in one of the races, he does just open it and just go like, bet you wish you were playing your video game now, don't you? It was very funny, but unintentionally. But acting great. Also, he has this mini rivalry with some old made-up racing crew that he was a mechanic for, called Team Kappa. Just like generic villain, the archetype of bought their way into racing, which is a thing, I suppose. That's definitely a thing in the real world. The bought their way into racing archetypes. But they then follow. Jan goes to GT Academy. Interesting thing that they changed. There actually wasn't any women in GT Academy till let me find the date, because I was looking at this on this real life comparison website and I was like, what is this question? They went till 2016. This was the first year of GT Academy, so although there was like 3 or 4 women, I believe, that was just something they fabricated. Doesn't matter at all though. Like, couldn't matter less.
I mean, they didn't win, so
but the GT Academy goes ahead. People are getting kicked out left, right, and center, and they're like, if you're below this line at the end of the whatever, then you're going home.
He crashes as well, and he's like, oh, I'm gonna lose my seat. I'm gonna lose my seat. And he's like, the brakes were glazed.
Exactly. I mean, glazed. that one comes around, right? But a bunch of people get eliminated. They're having to do running, and they're like, I bet this is the most time you've gotten out of the house in a while. Fucking loser. Which I will not stand for the gamer abuse. Gamer is the most marginalized group, clearly, shown by this film. But what ends up happening is they will do a big racing and whatnot, and they come around and Jan does a big crash. Dun dun dun. With the guy in the car, so it's even worse. It's going around a turn. He's about to overtake. And
goes for a nasty dive bomb and then slides.
Yeah, and instead slides. And the guy's like, you didn't commit! You should have committed to the turn! And then gets taken out and is like, I'm telling you, the brakes were glazed! They were glazed! I'm telling you they were glazed! And the guy's like, I know racing, and you're not a race car, so I know
you play video game. You do not know glazed. And it's like I've spent.
He's like, I've spent thousands of hours. I've spent thousands of hours in Gran Turismo. I know that they were glazed. Do they have glazed brakes in Gran Turismo? Is that
I highly doubt it. No, they do.
What does glazed brakes even mean? What do they have icing on them?
They basically become smooth. Like the pads and discs get hotter, then they cooler, then they go smooth.
Oh, okay. So no icing brakes, unfortunately. But he then continues on to...
I don't know how he glazed the brakes during one lap in the first place.
Yeah.
He must have been doing some intense brake rubbing beforehand.
He's like, hey, if they weren't glazed, you're out of here and you're going home. And you suck, actually, and I hate gamers.
I also like how instead of inspecting the discs and pads by eye, they just have someone drive around the track.
Yeah, like, what? I was thinking. And I'm not a race car by any means.
They crashed the car. Like, it's just...
Yeah. So they, instead of taking the brakes off, they repaired the car.
But they had to just take the wheels off to repair anyway, because the rear bumper was smashed in. But
even me not being a race car knew that was dumb. But he's like, you're gonna get kicked out, and then turns out, dun dun dun,
And they were glazed.
they were glazed, and he's like, hey, tell me, how did you know the brakes were glazed? And he's like, I've spent thousands of hours customizing cars in Gran Turismo.
That's such a waste of time.
And it's a reference to how earlier in the movie, Josh, he was putting brakes on his car.
It's got such realistic vehicle modifications. You could just sense the glazing of the brakes.
Well, you see, because Gran Turismo is a racing simulator, David Harbour, what ended up happening is I spent thousands of hours in Gran Turismo, available on the PlayStation Store, testing the brakes. And because they were so realistic to real life, now on discount in the PlayStation Store, I knew that these brakes were glazed. Turns out they were glazed. He makes it into the final 5, then goes into a big old race.
They never show what the other guy did. Like,
they just said that he was off. Yeah, they just said, well, he's heading home. They then send him round the big old track. They send all the 5 left round a track, and Jan starts last. Surprise, surprise!
They're so unfair. They didn't show that it was random picking names out of a hat to Toyota. They didn't show that there was qualifying. It's just he is last.
Yeah. Well, he's lost, but he overtakes everyone and goes left and right and up and down and manages to make it past everyone.
Yeah.
And has a photo finish last turn. What a surprise! I'm so surprised that it was a photo finish.
That one's the most believable photo, coming up, because they're the same car.
Yeah.
But they like to do it when it's not the same.
Yeah. But, an interesting scene that I'm surprised they didn't... Like, it feels like it's from a different character writing. Like, the character of, Miss Cox, the Darren Cox, named Danny Moore, the marketing man. It feels like it was from a script where he was a lot more of a pseudo bad guy, not bad guy, but more antagonistic. Because there's a little scene where he takes mentor guy to the side and it's like, look, they only finished that close behind. Instead of going with Jan, why don't we go with the guy behind him who's able to do a big marketing and be in interviews?
It is Nissan. They do like a big marketing.
Exactly. And I did like David Harbour's performance in that one, because no matter how much Orlando Bloom was like, well, you know, David Harbour was just like, Jan won. Yeah, Jan won. But the market, Jan won. But think about, but do we really want Jan? What? I don't know what you're talking about. Jan won.
Yeah.
Which it felt out of place because Orlando Bloom is very much on Jan's side for the rest of it. They don't show him eventually being like, actually, Jan, you can do a big marketing. They just sort of they just don't explain that he just has one moment where he's like, actually, how about we tell them that Jan didn't win so we can get the other guy. I don't know if that was based on a real thing that happened or what, because...
They also,
It was weirdly placed, is what it was. It was weirdly placed. And then what ends up happening is there's a bit of tension where they're like, who are they going to announce? Ooh, and the guy's like,
considering it's based on true events. I don't know why they've done that, because everyone knows anyway.
It's the plot of the movie.
It's like teasing, like they do a last F1, like Drive to Survive. It's like them doing a build up to who won.
Yeah. Like the game had many weird false endings kind of thing. It was like the game. Did I say the game? The movie. The pacing was really strange. Is all I'll say. Especially when you know who's gonna win GT Academy. It was weird to spend so much time on it. I guess, but
they only focus on 2, series. It's so odd.
Yeah. So the announcer guy does say, "You won, mate," and Jan does win in the end because racing prevailed, because Jan actually won. Screw marketing. Woo, racing. Jan then goes and begins to race for Team Nissan. They talk about a signing bonus. They allude to mentor
I mean, it
guy.
wasn't much of a signing bonus because I said it could get him, like, his girlfriend a single ticket to where he is.
Yeah, it was to
So
Japan.
they give him like 800 quid.
Yeah,
like,
I was gonna say because he was like, why don't you put a chunk of that into, like, he said he was gonna get an apartment or something, like in what economy?
What I was gonna say is this apartment either like 5p in like a week
Yeah.
or something, or is the plane ticket like 8 million?
Yeah. But what ends up happening is they allude to, hey, Mentor Man had a bad history, and we're taking you to Japan where you're going to shine and meet the Nissan guys and be a big old fanboy, because Gran Turismo. They go sign, he flies out. See, I don't even remember her name, and that's sad. It's sad that, she could have been... No, it isn't. She could have been written so much better. But, well, she wasn't written at all. Eventually, he invites her. He was Instagram stalking her before, to the point that even the mentor man noticed and was like, you're always looking through this girl's pictures. Do you want to invite her out? He was like, oh, your girlfriend. Which, clearly he was very much stalking her a lot, if that was the case. But... he invites her out, signs, they're like, look, gamers are racers now, gaming can be race cars. And then he has a big scene going around Tokyo, and they do a big kiss, and it's like, well, look, relationships, actually. It seems like Josh has crashed yet again. Yep, seems about right. Oh, well. Nice.
Carry on.
So, where I was he flies out the woman, and then the woman, they go into Japan, they do a big kiss, and it's like, hey, you're the love interest now, which I suppose was set there to happen, and then he starts doing some races, and then the plot of the film shifts its way from GT Academy to he does a racing series. Was it GP3? GT3? No, GP3 was the other thing.
I don't remember, but they make up a racing series.
Yeah, the cars were definitely made up, which we'll talk about the made up cars that they ended up choosing. But it was, I think it was on his Wikipedia. Was it like GT4?
I had it open before my PC noticed now. So.
Yeah, but he races in a racing league.
GT like 4 European Cup or something like that.
And what it was that he had to come 4th minimum, and then he would receive his FIA license, which would mean he could actually race. So that ends up happening. He goes and does some of this racing league where he's in a Nissan GT-R against an Audi R8, a Ford GT, a Aston Martin GT of some kind, Hurricanes, a very mixed around racing league. We get one villain, which is like, okay, it's the team, the Kappa guys who the mentor used to mechanic for, and they're here, and they suck, and they're bad at racing, actually. And then a guy who they say, this guy's gonna be a villain now, we decided. And that's what he is for the rest of the film. They just say, they're just like, hey, one of the other guys on the track, he's gonna be a bully on the track. And then that's it. That guy doesn't have one voice line. He's in an Audi R8, he doesn't have one voice line, and he just sometimes on the track antagonizes Yan. But also a fictional person, obviously. But they run it through with Yan racing. He is almost about to come 4th. And then what happens? Does Kappa...
He gets spun out.
Kappa spins him out, yeah. So he gets spun out, almost coming 4th. I wonder if that actually happens, because what a catastrophic fall-off to almost come 4th, and then it's like 29th, 18th, DNF, in the rest of the races. It was also rather strange. This is where I noticed the editing was weird. They had this effect where the movie would pause, and it would give you a bit of detail. It would show where Yan is, the position marker with a pause, or where they are with a pause. And it would have PlayStation sound effects, like it had the zoom from like the PS5. I noticed like one PS2 sound effect or like PS3 one in there as well. It was that I get what they were going for.
Well, I mean, that was the timing is so broken through the whole film because when the Spectator is killed at the Nürburgring, it's 2015.
Yeah.
His third place at Le Mans.
Yeah.
Is in 2013.
Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah. Oh, so that happened. Oh, I didn't even realize they switched that whole thing around.
Yeah.
That's a main part of the plot. Oh. Oh, we'll get onto that. Okay. Wow.
Because he raced Le Mans the same year as that Nismo flip.
Yeah. Oh.
But he DNF'd.
Yeah. Okay. So what ends up happening is he does a big racing and he eventually gets fourth. The editing was strange, yeah, because there's like the one where he DNFs. They show him spinning out. Then they show the card for pausing PlayStation sound DNF. And then they show him in the car having been broken. And then they jump like the car on the trailer being taken away. But then they show him in the car having just span out.
Yeah.
Really weird editing. The whole movie, honestly. Again, with pacing, right? Like, it feels like a whole plotline concluded with GT Academy. Now we're in a whole separate plotline where he's doing this big racing, and he eventually comes fourth, he gets his FIA license, woo! Races at the Red Bull Ring at some point. I think that might have been the one where he got his license? Maybe? I don't know. It's also one where Team Kappa does a big... Like, he overtakes him on a turn, going Mach 20. Like no car in that film went as fast as they made that Hurricane look like it was going.
Yeah.
I was thrown off before the crash. Like, he's taking the wide line.
He gets overtook so fast.
Yeah. Jan overtakes the generic villain Hurricane. The generic villain Hurricane, going on a terrible line now, uses NOS? Like, I don't know. Like, he just puts on something and just... Zoom!
He uses Warp Engine to go Mark 5 or something, yeah.
And then goes, like, right into the back of a Ferrari or something. And, like, eviscerates his car. Like, just... Like, no way he survives that. Eviscerates his car. Makes it through. Speaking of cringe lines, he's like, he comes to the end and he's like... someone mentioned as well, he didn't get a single penalty, by the way, the Kappa guy, for any of the ramming he was doing. Like, I didn't even process that. He didn't get a single penalty for any of everything he was doing.
Maybe in this made-up series, it's clean racing, I don't know.
Yeah. So he then is like, what were you doing on the track there, Mr. Kappa Man? And he's like, it's a little thing. It's part of the game. It's called racing. It's like, whatever. Shut up. Whatever. They also show him get into a Koenigsegg Jumeirah? A Koenigsegg Jumeirah at one point.
One of them.
Which is funny because it's a car that's like 5 years newer than when this whole thing took place. Same with all these cars in the actual races, the way newer cars. As well as how rich is he that he can afford a concept Jumeirah. Kind of cool, I guess.
I guess it's to show the point how he's like super rich and brought his way in.
Yeah. And he's like, video games can't be racing cars, to all the press and whatnot. But now Jan has his license. Everything's happy. Everything's amazing. Nothing sad can happen. Jan bought an MP3 player thing that he, before a race... Oh, no, before that... His dad comes. It got me. I'll admit, it got me. I think it's just because of the good acting. 2, if it's okay acting at minimum, and there's sad music in the background, I'm such a sucker. I'm such a... You could make me feel anything as a movie. Like, anything as a movie. If it's just, like, decent acting and sad music. And they had a scene where Jan's dad was like... I didn't support you well enough, and you know what? You were a race car, and I was wrong.
He was his number one hater when he was at home.
He was, yeah. Like, I saw him succeed, and he was like, cars are dangerous, actually.
Yeah.
And it got me. I'll admit, that was a well-done emotional scene. You know, Jan was crying, his dad was crying, they're hugging, and they're like, yeah, you know, I thought you were just a video game. But... It was in the trailer. Not the trailer, as in, like, it was in a trailer. Like, his pre-race trailer. Like,
Pre-Nürburg?
Yeah, he had, like, a lanyard on right before he gives Mentor the MP3 player. He goes in, I think... He goes and is like, they have a big sad scene, and he's like, I did this for you, Dad, I'm proud of you, and he shows the sticker on his helmet of his dad's football club.
Yeah, it's like the Swift.
Yeah, like a big sad scene, and it got me. It was well acted, but it came out of nowhere, but it was well acted.
It was so out of left field.
Yeah. Speaking of, right, well, I say speaking of, something was going to happen, but before this race... On the Nürburgring, right, he goes to the Mentor and is like, hey, Mentor, I actually love you so much now. You're such a cool guy. Here's a gift I got you, but don't open it till after the race. I'm gonna be perfectly fine. And this isn't just a way to tug on the viewer's emotional heartstrings, and instead, I'm gonna be amazing and survive. I remember thinking, I was like, well, he's not gonna die, so what happens here? As soon as that scene happened, as soon as they did the, like, here's a gift, open it after, though, I was like, okay, something happens this race. So, something happens this race.
I mean, I know he done a thing at the Nürburgring, so I know it's gonna happen anyway, but yeah.
So, interestingly enough, before this Nürburgring crash, was it before this crash? Because this crash was like 2015 or something,
15, right? Yeah.
So, something also left out of the movie is that...
I mean, they also missed him out racing in F2 that year as well. But...
Yeah, or Formula 3, I believe it was, GP3.
He does 3 and 2, by the way, that year.
So he races in Formula 3 and 2, and they just gloss over it. They're just like,
they're not mentioned.
Yeah, whatever.
But, he also doesn't race in a GT series that year.
Oh, does he not? Oh.
No, he does GP3, GP2, Pro-Am Endurance, World Endurance Championship, and the 24 Hours of Le Mans.
And when was the big crash? The big
15.
And when was the Le Mans?
The third place in Le Mans was 13, but he DNF'd in the 2015 Le Mans.
Ah, okay. So, what happened with the DNF? I'm actually curious now. What was the DNF?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to tell me.
Yeah, probably not. You can research that while I continue explaining the in-depth story. So, he then goes and does a big Nürburgring, and it was so obvious, like, something bad's going to happen. And mirroring a real-world crash, where... Oh, I see what the History vs. Hollywood has done here. They've put real, R-E-A-L, and then the one from the movie is real, R-E-E-L. Get it? Because, like, film reel, funny. But, what ends up happening at this Nürburgring race, he's beaming, he's chilling and cruising, until he's going around the straight or something. It's like an area specifically known to be...
No,
is a flying.
It's got a very German name.
Yeah.
It's a German name of a hill, so there's no way I can pronounce it. But
called like aircraft carrier or something.
Flugplatz
is what it's called. Yeah. Section at the Nürburgring. And what ends up happening, Mentor is like, you were supposed to come in and pit last lap. Why didn't you pit? I told you to pit. Which is strange because they imply that that's the reason this happens.
Do they say that? I don't think they do. I think they say pit next lap.
I think it was you were supposed to pit last lap.
That is a horrendous time to say you should have pitted last lap.
Yeah, no, that's what it was. Because it was.
That's generally like quarter the way around the track, but yeah.
It was you should have pitted last lap. Go into the pits this lap is what it was. Yeah.
So they've waited for him to drive like 4 miles to tell him that.
As far as I remember, because I remember thinking that like, because that's where my headcanon was like, oh, was the car too light? Because it was like, oh, he was supposed to pit last lap or something. But he is going over this hill section, and the car goes up. We've seen it in a bunch of clips. He does
a Le Mans, like 1995 Mercedes Le Mans moment where the car just decides to go airborne.
Yeah, and the car starts flying, and it goes into fences. One other thing that they did leave out, which I guess it's unnecessary information, but it is information. There's supposed to be 2 fences, which I assume he crashed and landed in the first one? Yeah, it does seem like it. But he crashes on a fence, and the thing is, though, there's supposed to be 2 fences. One's the catch fence to catch flying cars, and the other one's the one to protect the spectators. The spectators did jump that fence to sit in the closer fence, the one where just before the catch fence in front of the protect the spectators fence. Just an interesting, weird thing that they did leave out. But the car goes flying. It goes into this fence, and as in the real world, it does take the life of a spectator, which Yan finds out about in the hospital, where they're kind of just like, Yan, it was a freak accident. I was confused. Like, mind Yan, I was confused, because they were just like, when they showed the aftermath of the thing, someone was like slightly like leaning over with in their seat, and I was like, damn, that was a violent crash. And spectators too. But then in the hospital, they're just like, Yan, it was a freak accident. Yan, it was a freak accident. If you're just gonna yell at me, it was a freak accident, I'm gonna check my face to see I've not been like, just like, what was?
Arms and legs are falling off.
Yeah, like what? Like, am I intact still? They're just like, Yan, it was a freak accident. And then Yan just knows, and he's like, did someone die? They tell him, and he is distraught. They do actually foreshadow this, where the mentor says to Yan at that crash we talked about, he's like, oh, I think it's just in general. I think it's just in the beginning speech. He's like, this time you're racing real cars, you can lose your life, or worse, someone else will lose their life because of you. This was a big thing. This was a real thing that happens. Lethal crash. And Yan was out of action for that moment. And, like he said, incredibly guilty feeling. He mentioned, I believe it was 2 years later, he said that he feels massive guilt. Apparently there was a Twitter trending of being like, gamers shouldn't be race cars because of this by the other teams. Nissan was obviously very, like, naturally was very like, oh, maybe gamers can't be race cars. And what ends up happening is eventually he gets convinced. His parents are like, see, these were dangerous or whatever. And he goes on break or whatever. They're like, what do we do to bring Nissan back? What do we do to prove that this can work? Because apparently the FIA, who investigates this?
I'd assume with the FIA, yeah.
But they did eventually find that, it wasn't Jan's fault or something.
Pedestrians being in front of the pedestrian fence would be a start, but, you know. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, obviously, but, as in, like...
I don't know what Yan would have done there to make it his.
Now that I think about it,
made the car fly.
Like, what would he have done?
Like, he secretly put 8 kilos of lead in the bag so it wheelies over the ramp.
Now that I've only just realised that, how would it have been? But I don't know.
He got out of the car like Quicksilver and flipped the car up and then got back in.
With the low fuel or should have pitted thing, I assumed that it was like, oh, the car was too light, is what I assumed. So, like,
they say there was a headwind in the thing. Well,
and essentially freak accident, which apparently it would have been, I suppose. But then the plot goes into a place where it's like, okay, to redeem the public being like, gamers can't race car, we'll go do Le Mans and come podium with just gamers. But in the real world, the Le Mans...
That was 2 years ago. I don't know, maybe he dies after that crash in the film and his life's flashing before him.
That's what it is.
Actually 2013, I don't know.
In his head, he's like, okay, I might have died in this crash, but we proved gamers were race cars, so whatever. So yeah, so interestingly, the Le Mans podium was 2 years prior to the
If they'd
Nürburgring.
done it realistically, they DNF'd that year.
Yeah, so it seems like they were like,
I guess they couldn't show that.
Yeah, I guess that one doesn't look as good.
They're gonna prove them
Nissan
wrong,
and
DNFs.
gamers, I guess. But it's strange.
Doesn't he the year later go like 2015? He gets a second in Formula 3.
Are you
the
sure we're
year
not
after.
getting something wrong here? Like, are you sure that's when the crash happened?
Yeah, crash was 2015.
Yeah. Huh.
And the year after, he gets second in Formula 3. That would have been better than a third at Le Mans, but, you know.
Doesn't really have
2
that.
years prior, bear in mind.
I mean, I was gonna say, but like, the year after racing again doesn't really sell the remorseful need to build back reputation kind of like, if he's just like, oh, someone
Time
died.
travel and went back in time.
Yeah. Oh, someone died. Time to go race in Formula 3. Like, you
I
know.
mean, that's what he did, though. Like, that's what he did IRL.
I suppose that is what he did IRL. But,
He just, was like, you know what, yeah.
which one was it?
Formula,
The Blancamp, the FIA World Endurance, the GP3. I'm not sure. I see a DNF. Was it the 24 Hours of Le Mans?
Yeah, he DNF'd the 24-hour Le Mans.
The same year as the crash?
Yeah, same year as the crash. The crash, I'm almost certain, was in World Endurance. That's the only one that looks like it's GT3.
Yeah.
And that raced at the Nürburgring, so...
But would the crash not have been a DNF?
That's championship position overall. There's multiple races.
Oh, so yeah, if the race was like the last one, or even like second to last, whatever the last thing.
I'd explain the 34th
Yeah.
in the championship.
I imagine there was 34 races. That is really, really strange. I mean, you can see...
It was a 6-hour race, IRL. They don't mention that at all.
So, fourth round, 6 hours of Nürburgring, Germany. So, it does seem like it was
the only
that.
one of those that raced Nürburgring.
Is that the only one? Yeah,
Yeah.
That was literally the next thing he did that year. Was
Le
a
Mans.
DNF at Le Mans. His third. That's so strange.
Like, they've got it in chronological order. He done the crash and then went and did Le Mans.
But it was the DNF.
He didn't P3 that year. He P3 2 years prior.
Yeah, which was only 2 years after he just got into racing.
A DNF, I suppose, wouldn't look very good.
Yeah, like, no. Genuinely impressive, though, that only 2 years into racing, he came third place at Le Mans. Like,
yeah.
Genuinely impressive, but, like, yeah, it feels like they kind of wanted to go, well, we thought this was good. Let's not talk about this point in your career. Let's shuffle these around a bit and make a plot. I mean, maybe the same plot did happen where he crashed. They were like, okay, we need to prove that gamers can good. Let's go do Le Mans, except they left out
He won 4
again.
races in Formula 3 the year after.
Yeah.
Like, his positions that year were 2nd, 3rd, 2nd, 4th, 8th, 1st, 10th, 3rd, 1st, 2nd, 1st, 1st, 4th, 8th, and then 3 seconds.
He was beaming. Like, what? He was.
They didn't show that.
Yeah.
But, you know.
But, like, I imagine that...
Which would have made chronological sense.
That might have made licensing issues, I suppose, because Formula 1 or whatever. But, I mean, they could have made one up. I don't know.
When you could buy a Formula 3 car, it's not really.
But it's... Yeah, it's really strange. It's really strange to... Like, yeah,
and they also butchered the layout of Le Mans as well.
Yeah.
They used footage from Hungary, from the Hungaro, yeah.
But yeah.
Just colour shifted to match Le Mans.
To match, I don't know, Germany. But I imagine what happened was the crash did happen, and maybe, yeah, they were like, okay, we need to put the trust back in gamers.
You know.
Except they removed the part where they were like, so we'll go do the Le Mans again. It seems like what they missed out was them saying again, but they When LMP2, the other one just says Le Mans. Why does one of them only say Le Mans and the other one says Le Mans LMP2? But what ends up happening is
I suppose he raced because he came third in LMP2. I suppose they tried regular LMP that year.
oh, okay, yeah. But really strange little mix-up to do to his career. So yeah, they're like, okay, reputation, let's go do Le Mans. They go do Le Mans. They bring back two of the other gamers, which I want to know if those were... That was one of the things I wanted to see.
They said they were just
outcome.
racing in like European Cup Championships,
The smaller
which
circuits,
makes much more sense.
I imagine, yeah, if you got a leg up from a reality TV show based on motorsports...
That's enough to get enough sponsors to get into like GT4, like British GT4.
Yeah.
Like.
So, it was an Australian and... Was it an Australian? He had a really... aesthetically pleasing mustache.
I kind of lost all interest at this point. This was a very lull in the film.
He had a cool mustache. One of them had a cool mustache. It was an American, or no, I think he was also UK or something, or
I think
Scotland
he was.
or something, or maybe Australian. He was. They were just like at one point in Le Mans, he was just like, "This guy's sucking balls, Jan. You need to get back on there. This guy's making us lose. He's down 7 positions or whatever." Like,
yeah.
But Jan starts, they go to Le Mans, and I remember back in... I only just remembered this line. It was actually earlier in the film, which makes sense. And marketing man is saying to Nissan, "Well, this is a world first, so we're already winning."
Yeah, that was a banger line, to be fair.
So Jan goes to Le Mans, he does a big Le Mans. For some reason, Kappa and other generic villain are there too.
They're racing LMP2 as well, aren't they? Or they're
they're also in
GTA?
the same racing league as him.
Yeah.
Which is just like, sure, I guess, whatever.
Yeah.
Just happens the 2 other villain archetypes happen to also be racing, moving over to the same separate racing league at the same time in the same Le Mans. But they needed the villains, I guess. Were they also Kappa branded? I don't remember if they were, because...
I don't remember.
Yeah.
When you say they needed the villains, did they really do anything in the Le Mans? They just kind of...
One of them nukes himself? Like, one of them... How did that crash go? I forget.
Oh, one of the GTE cars sideswipes him.
Oh, does it? Oh, yeah. So you were saying this was a thing that actually happened.
That happened like last year. A Corvette put another Corvette into a wall by doing that.
Yeah, so because there's multiple races going on, some cars are way less powerful than other cars, the LMP2 being way more powerful, and going through a turn, I believe...
GTE.
Yeah, Jan just makes it through, but a GTE is turning into the line for the LMP2, as Jan just makes it past, but it was like a Ferrari, I believe, because I remember re-looking at the CGI, and it was terrible. Like, they put it in a trailer too, because I just noticed the crash, and the actual crash, that looked kind of fine, but they just sort of forgot about the Ferrari.
It bursts into flames like it's made of magnesium, but
yeah, so the car, the LMP2, flies into the wall, like, just pelts it into the wall. And then, he falls out of the car and does end up surviving. Fake person, didn't matter. I mean, as in, like, it wasn't a real accident that happened. I mean, like it was just a made-up character. That wasn't based on true events. But, so it's like, I'm not here like, oh my god, did someone actually die? No, it was just a guy they made up for the film. Jan carries on. 2 other guys race. I think it was either this or back at the beginning where the guy opens the window and just goes, you fucking shit, mate. And it's the guy on his team. But he then does Le Mans. What happens in the middle? What happens in the middle of the Le Mans? I only remember the beginning and end of Le Mans.
They only showed the end, beginning, and because they have the other drivers do the intermediate splits.
Yeah. So then eventually Jan is pulled in early to do the final one because the goddamn mustache.
Someone's having a skill issue.
Is terrible. He took them down from 3rd to like 7th or something.
I think it was 4th to 7th, something like that.
Yeah. And Yan comes in. Surprise, surprise! Yan is effortlessly passing everyone. What? I want to mention the racing footage. Pretty good. Like the shots and everything. The actual like footage on screen. I mean, there was this one cool shot where it was like a ground shot of a car that races by, and then it stops, and then it waits, and it waits, and then vroom, there goes Yan. That was a cool shot. Like
that was a Le Mans. That was
yeah.
Towards the end.
A fair bit of the actual racing.
He was 6 seconds off P3 or something.
Yeah.
They showed the cargo, but then it's 6 seconds, and then zoom.
I was like, yeah, exactly. The fact that showed what amount of time that was as well. I was like, that was a pretty well thought out and.
He
cool
made that up in
shot.
1 lap or whatever it was, didn't it?
Yeah.
Then he game us him at the last corner.
And he had a gamer moment. Not as in like saying a slur. He had a gamer moment where he like he's racing.
Should have get counted on Twitter for a previous tweet or something or a clip.
He's racing, and it like pans around. And I didn't mention it. A lot of the times in GT Academy when he was, or whenever he was on like a racing rig, the game like it would pan around him, and it's like the car that he's driving forms around him. And it did the opposite. So he catches up effortlessly to P3. He's about to come up to the last turn, and everything deconstructs, and he's back in his room playing Gran Turismo, and it's like, oh my god, that's when he was a gamer, and now he's a race car. And he's like, it pans around. The same thing where he's like, oh, they take the racing line, I go wide and cut inwards. The thing he's already done 7, I think probably rule of 3. This film was made by a GCSE film student who doesn't know how to do pacing. That's what it is. It's got like rule of 3, it's got like generic shots.
Made by Neil
like,
Blanc. You study him in GCSE film. I can't,
well, there you go. But yeah, cinematography, racing cinematography, pretty good. They do.
He overtakes on the last corner, and it's like a drag race to the line.
Yeah, surprise, surprise! Yan does.
Even though the other car should have had a much better drive out the corner because he had the actual line.
He took the wide
they
line,
ignore
right?
That.
Yeah.
They ignore.
Like
they
the
ignore
whole
that.
point of like maybe overtaking on a wide is that
It's
you
like
then
it's kind of like 50 more horsepower the way he
yeah.
just slowly driving by him.
But like the point of overtaking on wide is that like on the re-entry, because everyone's in a pack at the end of the turn, you just get put in a mesh, so it doesn't matter if your car's coming out faster. In this point, it matters that your car's coming out faster. It's an empty straight.
Yeah,
like
it's on the like final straight. It kind of matters.
yeah. So what happens is that he goes around, he does a big whatever, and then surprise, surprise, Yan does a last minute photo finish. I didn't even mention they did this for the FIA license too. I think. Yeah, they did that for the FIA license too, with the same guy too.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a last minute photo finish, and Yan comes third. 2 years before his crash actually happened. And he comes third, and it's like, yay, Yan is a race car, but I thought he was just a gamer. He's literally me for real. I play racing games. Maybe I can race car. Yay!
Me when I podium at Le Mans gaming.
Exactly. Yes. Let's go. If it's like a Royal Navy ad, right? If you can drive in Gran Turismo, you.
I wonder how bad his contract was. Like, because the prize money from it. I wonder how much Nissan got.
And they knew they were fans of racing, and they knew they wanted to get in there. And
he would have. He signed that contract. No, he didn't even read it. Like, he just was like, "I'll sign it."
Yeah, it was a reality TV contract as well. So, like, it was from reality
They're
TV.
taking at least 40%.
Yeah. But the whole movie was like a Royal Navy ad. It was like, if you have a racing rig, you can play Gran Turismo. If you can play Gran Turismo, you can drive a real car. If you can drive a real car, you can drive a race car. If you can drive a race car, you can drive at Le Mans. Made in Darlington. No, born in Darlington. Made in GT Academy. That should have been the trailer, tell you what. Jan
Yeah.
kisses his girlfriend. Mentor's like, I'm proud of you, Jan. Nissan's like, yeah, great.
They don't even mention him like almost winning Formula 3 the next year at the credits, because at the credits they're like, oh, he done good, he raced
Yeah.
good. So they just don't mention him doing anything afterwards. It's just like,
I found it was a slightly funny, I suppose. It's that like, he listened to funny music when gearing up to race, and they were like, Jan still does listen to funny music to calm down before a race, and that was nice, I guess.
yeah.
And what else was it that, like, did they say GT Academy ran till whatever? What else was like the what happened afterwards? I think it was like Jan's dad continued to be his dad as he planned, I suppose.
He was still there, yeah.
Also, I mentioned Darlington because that's where Jan was born. Which you mentioned was posh. His dad was like a 300 match footballer, so I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can see how big his room is in the image of his setup.
Yeah. In the end, Jan Mardenborough did a racing, proved that whatever, continued his career to current day, is still racing, was consulted for this movie, and that was Gran Turismo. A movie with really weird pacing, a really unfortunate script,
Yeah.
odd editing, but kind of really fun. Good acting, kind of really fun. And as far as Motorsports, did that side of it pretty well. So all in all, I think reviewing it out loud, I definitely say it's a 6, actually. I changed my mind on the 7.
6.8, I don't know.
Yeah, I was gonna go closer to like 5.8, but I've gotten a worse look at it. But yeah, it was fun. It was really fun. Go watch it, even though I've just essentially audio descriptioned the whole movie. It's fun. It was fun. And go buy Gran Turismo, I guess. Did you know that this film was in development for so long? Like, it was in development
it was in
like,
kind of in a bad spot for a while.
Yeah. Like, it was gonna be out when, and then it finally actually came out when, and it's a whole thing. But that was the Gran Turismo film, and that was the full review of the Gran Turismo film. I mean, I suppose we can touch on the gaming segment pretty quickly. Forza is doing a big Italian. They have finally they're going into their Italian heritage update because they finally got Stellantis Italy.
Italian heritage, it's the Stellantis update.
Yeah, they're also doing a big old bundle of some kind where you get a bunch of Hurricanes and what the like. Yes, so they have a DLC pack. Probably it is a £8 DLC pack where you get Lamborghini Huracan Tecnica, Huracan ST Evo, Lamborghini Ascenza, Lamborghini SC20, which looks terrible, Ferrari 296 GTB. Is that the Fortnite one? It looks like the Fortnite one, but I don't know.
I think it is, but I'm not 100% sure. I get all their new ones mixed up.
Ferrari Roma, which is just like a modern F12, I guess. Sure. And then an Ital Design Da Vinci. Like, what?
Yeah.
These ones are weird because in the official imagery, it's stock images of the car, not Forza images. But then Stellantis Italy is in the game with
the 8 auto show cars are the Abarth 595, the Alfa Romeo Giulia 2017.
Yep.
The Alfa Romeo 333S.
Yeah.
The Alfa Romeo TZ2. Sure. The Alfa Romeo GTA, like the game.
No way.
The Fiat 124, the old one. The Lancia Delta from 1992. And the Lancia Stratos.
And then Red Star exclusive?
The rest are the ones that are in the monthly challenges.
Oh, playlist.
I
So,
think.
like, half will be exclusive, half will just be the higher unlock. And those are?
You got the new Abarth 124 Spider.
Yep.
The Abarth 695. I got them mixed up.
Why is that not just the 500?
Because it's been called the 695 for the past decade.
Oh,
because
sure. I mean, it's the 500E now, though, and not the 695E.
It's literally a Fiat 500, but it's...
Yeah.
Yeah. The Abarth Fiat 131, sure.
Yeah.
Alfa Romeo 155 Q4.
Yep.
Alfa Romeo 4C and 8C. The Lancia 037 Stradale and the Lancia Delta S4.
Yeah. Unfortunate that half of those are going to be exclusive, but, yeah, you know what? Sure. Obviously, we've talked to death about Stellantis Italy and how they were out of racing games but are now back in racing games, and they are in TDU Solar Crown, making their return here. Probably gonna be in Motorfest eventually.
Yeah, 100%.
I saw someone be like, "What if it's a Forza exclusive deal?" They're in TDU. They're in TDU.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Like that? Yeah. I don't believe they're in Need for Speed Unbound either, and it must have been some kind of one-off, limited time, up at the top, a Stellantis Italy management something that just everything combusted, and now it's finally sorted out, so they're finally just
They have to get out the checkbook, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, now they're back, and now they're in racing games. And maybe, if you drive an Abarth in if you drive one of these Abarths, you can race for Team Abarth in real life. Who knows, you know? Maybe you can be a race car. But this is pretty alright, yeah. Italian update coming soon. Very soon, I believe. August 15th, yeah. I'll probably go on and I'll do a video where it's like, whoa, these cars aren't going to be in Motorfest. Whoa. And in the rest of gaming, like I mentioned, Need for Speed Unbound Volume 4. Motorfest, I think, hasn't gotten anything. We saw some concept artwork, which revealed that it was actually originally the Cian that was going to be the cover car slash trailer car. Good on that change, because look, even if you don't like the Revuelto, you got to admit it's better than the Cian.
The Cian is just bad.
The Cian's once removed from a Veneno. Like, it's terrible. And I think that's all that's in the gaming.
Yeah.
Oh, Gran Turismo. We already talked about Gran Turismo, I believe. The last week. Yeah, I believe that's the gaming segment. What is there in the motorsports segment, if anything?
Nothing. I was watching. I don't even know what series it was. I sent it to you today.
Yeah.
Legends Cards Elite Cup.
Yeah, so it's a series.
And there was nothing else on. ITV were putting this on prime time Sunday, so you know there's nothing else.
F1's on summer break.
F1's on summer break, and MotoGP wasn't on today, so they put this on by the looks of it.
So it's
just Hub 1 racing.
Yeah, it's 1934 Ford coupes. But like decked out.
There's 30 of them. Where have they found 30 in the UK to begin with to make a racing series?
And these are now, they're like fully wide-bodied, massive tires. It's quite cool. But yeah, you're watching this out of boredom.
I mean, I put an image in the motorsports chat, like above the wet BTC. So
yeah.
Well, 3 past 1. Like, actually close racing, to be fair. They finish all in a light. It's like Gran Turismo reference. Not in the motorsports F1 thing, in motorsports regular.
Above. Right, yes.
Up 3 past 1.
What, in the, this racing, yeah. The wet, there we go. What? Wait, where and what?
3 past 1.
3 past 1, there you go. Yeah.
It's like Gran Turismo reference. Look how close the second place one is.
Whoa! And he's gonna take the outside line and then overtake, and then it proves that. I don't know what it proves at this point.
I don't know, yeah.
Because I was gonna say, if you drive this car isn't in any game, but
If you play the crew too, you can...
Exactly! You can be a Ford in real life, and...
You can be a Legends Cup Elite... a Legends Cars Elite Cup winner.
Exactly! Yeah. And what was this bike you said?
Oh, no, I talked about that's the Aprilia carbon fiber frame.
Oh, okay, yeah, so that was, I imagine, last week. But yeah, that's all there is for this episode of the Stick Drift podcast. We will see you boys next week.
You'll see Sid Wednesday.
Exactly, you'll see me talking to Corey Johnston Thursday for the bonus episode of the Stick Drift podcast. The regular episode moved from Sunday to Monday, so I thought I might as well move the bonus from Wednesday to Thursday.
Yeah.
It could probably go back to Sunday at some point, but it's like... Sometimes I do stuff on Sundays, so it's like on Saturdays.
I'm really busy at the moment.
Yeah, you're really busy, but sometimes I do stuff on Saturdays, so it's
next Sunday we might be going to...
like an actual thing. Like a thing. We're gonna be cars in real life from being gamers.
We are.
We'll go there and be like...
If you watch the Stick Drift podcast, you can be a car.
Exactly. Maybe you can in the real world have Stick Drift, if you watch the Stick Drift podcast. That's the movie. That's the pitch. I'll go into Nissan HQ. Like, this isn't just
Sony HQ. That would be...
Exactly.
I'd love that one.
This isn't just a podcast. It's a car experience. It's a car culture experience.
Yeah.
That's what we should brand ourselves as from now on. We're not just a podcast. We are a car culture weekly experience.
You need to do it while doing a rally stage. I don't know. That'd be a true immersive experience.
Absolutely. I will chuck in there. Why not? On thoughts of expanding Stick Drift when Stick Drift monetize and doing weekly whatevers. I did also think if we got to a point where I was also talking to potential editor for the Stick Drift podcast, say I get expendable budget and whatnot, I just want to do some cool stuff, actually doing like Stick Drift go to places, because the editor that is potentially an editor can also double as a videographer, conveniently. So, I was also thinking if we did actually go to X car me, X race, X whatever, it could be cool to, if get permission, have like a mobile podcast rig, just like 2 fold-out chairs.
I was gonna say, two chairs and a table. That would be the most.
That would be pretty cool, though. Get permission and then 2 fold-out chairs and just waffle about can you believe this new EV outside of a racing track?
And then for the bonus, we could go around and do bonus.
Exactly. Obviously, like I've said, the way the Stick Drift podcast will work is there will be, for non-members, it will be the full podcast and a video of just something cool on the other channel. And then if you're a member, probably be £8 to £10 a month, you get a bonus episode of the Stick Drift podcast and an extended cut bonus content version of whatever that video was. So yeah, that will come about when it comes about. Which is sooner rather than later. Probably worryingly close to Motorfest, but we'll have to see, I suppose. That is going to be about it from us, though. See you, boys.
Nice 2.5 hours.
I know, exactly.
10 minutes of me disconnecting. So.
Yeah, some bits will be cut out, thankfully, but we'll see. I mean, this is where we need bonus episodes. See you, boys, in the next one. In a bit.